Welcome to the Daily Dish with New York Times bestselling author Leanne Ely. Putting vibrancy back into your everyday life and feeding your heart, mind, body, and soul. Join us every day at 1 p.m. Eastern for Motivational Monday, Tuesday's Tip, Wise Woman's Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Food Fight Friday, and of course Q&A, where no question is off limits, and Soulful Saturday. Here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
Well, hello, everyone. It is that time. Of course it is. It's that time. And I see Helen and Catherine and Deborah and Nancy, Joanne, Corliss. Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Boy, you should see Jenny. Talk about a makeover. She had her hair whacked and cut. It looks super cute. Now I want to go cut my hair. So there you go. What are you going to do with that? Hey, Diane, Lucy, Jocelyn. Good to see you. Corliss. Jane, Julie, glad you're all here. We're going to get down into the weeds of what it means to this whole idea of the conundrums in our lives and the paradoxes in our lives. I think there's been some like aha moments that I've had all week long. So I can't wait to share those with you. Flynn, it's good to see you. Jane, I'm glad you're here. Same. Did I say hello to Diane? I don't know if I did. I'm just glad you're here. Here's our quote of the week. Speaking of being glad that you're here, this is for all of you. There is no force equal to a woman who is determined to rise. And I would say every single woman who shows up here, that means you. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Juanita. Lizzie made it. Are you kidding me? It's good to see you. Yes, Jenny looks great. Super cute haircut. And she's saying she has to practice with the curling iron. And I totally get that. I've got practice going with my daughter right now. Just kind of crazy. Lori, you're a sister too. I'm so glad you're here, by the way. So as a matter of fact, all of you wise women who are here, it is Wise Women's Wednesday. And Lucy said this makes her tingle. Doesn't it make you tingle? You know, when I think of rising, do you know what I think of? I think of standing up. I think of just that feeling that you get that makes you want to get to your feet. You're at a concert and there's a standing ovation and you're a part of it. You know that feel that you feel when the music rises and all of that? Don't we want that in our lives? I say yay and amen. I do. I want that in my life. Today we're talking, and this whole week we've been talking about the paradox of change. And the paradox, this seemingly weird thing that makes you go, what, it's this and it's also that, what the heck? Well, I've got some stuff for you today that absolutely rose out of the ashes of my own stuff. I hope you find it super helpful because, you know, we're all in this together, aren't we? We're all doing this together. We're all hoping for the best and we're all holding on tight sometimes because it just seems like, yeah, that's how life is at these various times. Huh, Vanessa? There's Patsy as well. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm pretty darned excited about today's topic and today's content specifically. I think this is going to be amazing. So our supplement of the week, as you know, is our Immunity High Five. And these are important supplements, especially when you're trying to support your immune system. One of the things that I will say to you, if you have not ever done this, and this is an aside from the Immunity High Five, by the way, it's getting your vitamin D levels up. You will hear me preach and preach and preach about that. The research just continues to be astounding on this whole area. And the amount of people walking around with insufficient vitamin D is just inexcusable. There's no reason for that to happen. You can take supplementation for that, especially if you aren't getting enough sunshine. And listen, for us to get enough sunshine, we need to go outside naked, right? We have to go outside naked for at least 20 to 30 minutes and just go, come and get me. Most of us are not going to do that. But, you know, a little bit of sunshine and what have you, I do it every day as a part of my practice of just healthy living. But I also take my vitamin D, and I know what my vitamin D levels are. You should do the same thing. And I also take the Immunity High Five because every single supplement in there is supportive of your immune system being able to operate optimally. That's important. Check it out at savingdinner.com/show. If you buy 2 sets, you're going to get the third one absolutely free, which is a screaming hot deal. It's only until Sunday, so go grab yours now. We also have a waiting list for our inner circle, which is absolute. I cannot wait for Saturday's class. We're having a class on Saturday, and we're going to be going through some really juicy stuff in the book. But lest you think it is only a book study, it is not. We have hot seats, we have all kinds of stuff, and a private channel that we communicate with, and people have immediate access to me, which is not something that I do very often. You want to get on the waiting list for it? Check it out at savingdinner.com/circle. If you're not ready for that, at least be ready for getting off the carousel of crazy, the book and the workbook. Let me tell you, if you've decided, like I did a few years ago, to opt out of the diet culture because all it's done is made you crazy and broke, then you got to read this book, because there's a whole lot more to this weight loss conundrum that we have that we think is the thing that's holding us back. Maybe it's not. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out at savingdinner.com/circle. Oh, Juanita, such a good thing. Did you see what she said? You never know. The older I get, the less I care about what others think. However, my neighbors may call the police if I get my vitamin D that way. Yes, that is a problem, but I love that you're not, you don't care what others think as you get a little bit older. I get that. So that's fantastic. Yeah. Oh, see, did you see what Vanessa said? I had no idea what you said about the cockroaches and chocolate. I had no idea. By the way, this is a very effective tool. This is what Vanessa's talking about, which in our Facebook Hot Milk Sprint group, was that when you have something that's holding you back and you really want to gross yourself out about it, like not eat the chocolate, go check and see, Google, how much cockroach parts or rodent hairs or something else that's completely disgusting that are allowed in a favorite food that you just can't seem to let go of, right? I'm talking about any kind of junk food, any kind of processed food, anything that's made in a factory. You're going to find cockroach parts, rodent hairs, and other sort of tidbits that'll just make you absolutely ill. It was very effective for me. That's one of the things that got me out of chocolate. It kept you from buying one last night. I love it. That is so funny. Oh, goodness. That's so great. Did you know who has our Thanksgiving menu? Keep pinkies up if you use our Thanksgiving menu. My goodness, that thing has been around forever. We have since added other Thanksgiving menus, including the keto, the low carb version, all of that, all recipe tested, all amazing, at savingdinner.com/Thanksgiving, as well as a timeline, as well as everything that you will need to do. Go get it now. And share it, would you? Go ahead and share it. You need savingdinner.com/Thanksgiving. Tell your friends where to go get their Thanksgiving menus. You know, we started this whole idea with timelines and how the whole thing works and what have you. I wrote a whole book on it. Saving dinner for the holidays. This is important stuff. You know why? Because there's nothing worse than hosting a big thing and forgetting something or blowing it. I'm telling you. It will make a big, big difference for you. So check it out. And don't forget, we have tools. I'll tell you all about that as we get on. Check out our social media. You can find us everywhere, including some extra special stuff that we're doing on TikTok that you won't find anywhere else. And Instagram. And, you know, it's exhausting being a social media magnet. You know, nobody watches our stuff, but I'm fine. We're going to keep going. We're not going to quit. I've got grit, not quit, baby. So watch. We'll go viral one of these days. The bonanza. Giddy up, girlfriends. Are you ready for the bonanza? And watch your mailboxes. If you have been a part of our bonanza and taken advantage of any of our deals, you've got something coming in the mail. So watch for your something in the mail. Okay. Watch for that. That's number one. Number two, save the date, because on November 18th and the 19th, that's a Thursday and a Friday, we're doing Black Friday early. Boy, you don't want to miss this. If you did our galas, you know how much fun they are. We danced. We had all kinds of stuff. We did it on Crowdcast. This time, we're going to be doing it again on Crowdcast into the evening and just regular time as we do it here. Yes, Julie, of course you do. Your vitamin D activates your calcium, magnesium, by the way. So make sure you keep up with that. Kimberline, try it again on use the Chrome form. I don't know when submitting, but I don't know what you were submitting. So please try again later. Carla's in Hawaii, so we can all send her pinkies up. God bless you. And we're all super jealous. just a little bit. But we're glad you're here. I mean, the fact that you show up here, what? You need a gluten-free, dairy-free, S-free. What's S-free? I don't know what that is. We have that. So go check it out. I'm telling you, we have that. And whatever you have, always use Chrome, by the way. I'm sorry, but Chrome is really the best browser that we've had. And make sure your browsers are updated. Oh, sugar-free? Yes, we got that, Lori. Of course we do. Lori, hello, have we met? Maybe not. But, we do all the things. We get it, totally. You think? We get it. So today, I think I got all the things. I've covered all the bases. Today, we're going to be talking about the difference between regular old run-of-the-mill practice and deliberate practice. This was an aha that hit me upside the head like a cosmic 2x4. And sometimes we all need one of those. And can I just make a big confession right now? And this is the truth. Oh, by the way, yes, today's Wednesday. Don't forget about your Q&A. Q&A is on Friday. Send your questions in because tomorrow's last day to do it. To support@savingdinner.com. Question for Leanne on Friday goes right there in the subject line. I don't want to forget about that because I love our Q&As, don't you? So here you go. Here's what it is. This is what hit me upside the head was this fact that practice is practice is practice, and deliberate practice is something entirely different. And there's this paradox in practice in which I stumbled upon this simply through my own practice. And that is, well, first of all, that one of my goals is, and has stayed all of this year, is I am an athlete. That's one of my goals. That's my affirmation intentional statement out of my goals. There's more to it, but let's just be brief. And the other part of it is because I practice what I preach, and I do use our Take Back Your Life journal, using it every day in my practice for meditation, doing my ritual in the morning. I practice regularly meditation. I practice regularly journaling. I practice regularly goal setting and refinement and all the rest of it. I also practice strength training and exercise, and I take bar, and I do a lot of these different things. I'm set up for all of this stuff. And do you know what has happened lately? I had a lot of stuff going on, and things are a little bit haywire around here, and there's going to be a lot of activity coming up with Thanksgiving on the way and all of that. And that is that I found myself falling into this place of boredom, the B word, boredom. So what happens when you get bored? You just, maybe not today. Maybe, I've got other things that I need to do. This needs to be a priority. I got to work on this. I've got to do that over here. Well, I don't have to tell you what all of that is about. But I want to talk about the repetition of practice, because practice is repetition. It's doing those same things over and over again. But we have this uncanny ability. I know I'm not the only one who gets bored and ends up throwing their good practice away. And I think there's a whole paradox to that. And I think that's one of the things that's going to change your mind a little bit about what this whole thing is about. So the paradox of practice is that, well, of course, practice is defined as repeated performance. Repeated performance doesn't necessarily mean improved performance. Let me say that again. Repeated performance doesn't necessarily mean improved performance. Now, of course, not everything needs to be improved on, but several things do. I mean, if you're practicing tennis or you're practicing the piano or something else, you've got to get better or you're going to be stuck with chopsticks for the rest of your life, right? Or playing, the scales or whatever. So it doesn't mean we don't increase performance on everything, like I said. And sometimes what what I'm also talking about is that just with regular old practice, sometimes there's no enjoyment either. But I'm finding that deliberate practice increases the enjoyment versus not just kind of going through the motions. And I believe sometimes that that's where we go with our practice, because practice can just be, you know what, I just want to check that off my list. I just want to get it done. That's fine for toilet cleaning. That's fine for getting the laundry done. Nobody's going to be, looking at your laundry and saying, she didn't do it right. Or maybe there is, but you know what I'm saying. It's just getting it done. I mean, what's the difference? Just throw that stuff in, wash it, and fold it up and put it away, right? There's a couple of steps involved, but there's no performance grade. There's nothing that it's just a necessary thing that one needs to do when living in this world. You got to get your laundry done, or else buy new clothes all the time. So we know this, and we can be either going through the motions and not getting anywhere with other things, or we can find ourselves in the place where practice almost becomes useless. I'm going to explain why and what the difference is between regular old run-of-the-mill practice for the things that are important, the needle mover things that are important for you in your life, and deliberate practice, because there's a huge differentiator. And I believe that this is going to help you to become a regular, deliberate practicer. At least this is how it walloped me upside the head. And I believe this is what wise women do, by the way, because it is Wise Women's Wednesday, so we need to talk about that. So here's the differentiator. Deliberate practice requires focus. And regular practice, good heavens. We'll have to just get rid of you for a minute and decline. Goodness, how rude. And deliberate practice does not. It doesn't. Deliberate practice requires focus, and regular practice does not require deliberate focus at all. Not at all. It's just going through the motions, like I said. Deliberate practice requires goals attached to them. Regular practice doesn't. It just means just get it done. Deliberate practice requires presence. Oh, I think this is such a big one. And regular practice does not. Have you noticed that? And I've noticed this like in my meditation practice when I'm just like sit down, just want to get into my meditation practice and basically knock it out, that my mind is all over the place. Now, I've been practicing meditation for a long time, so being present with the meditation is become increasingly easy. At first, I was like a ping pong ball in my brain, but then it became easier to just stay in the moment and stay present in the practice. Whereas if I'm just trying to knock it off my list and just say, I did my morning ritual, and just not be present with it, then it becomes a going through the motions thing instead of a deliberate practice. And I find that it's less satisfying, and it's just more mundane stuff that I got to do. Does that make sense to you? It's like you've got to go clean up the dog poop, right? You can't just let your dog poop all over the yard and whatever. You got to clean up after him. Or in my case, you got to try and find it because he's pooping in piles of leaves and I can't find it, to throw it into the woods. We've got a big, large acre lot next to us that we own. And that's where we toss them. Just FYI, in case you're wondering what I do with all that poop. But I think that becoming a wise woman means that you're becoming a deliberate practitioner in your life on the things that really and truly matter. And I've got 8 things. Yes, 8 things that are going to help you with this, because I don't want you to get bored and just, and then all of a sudden you've taken your Take Back Your Life journal and thrown it aside, and you've I don't see the difference that this makes. I just, whatever. It doesn't have to be that way. If you practice it in a deliberate way, it's going to change your life. There is such a huge difference. And number one is, how do we do this? Number one is you break it down. What are you doing? What is this practice of thing that you're doing? So, for example, if we're going to talk about working out, let's just talk about working out because that's real easy to measure. What do you take a look at it? And I've been doing this too. Just recently, I read a blog post from somebody who said, when I started keeping a journal of what I have done for that day, not just checking the box, not just allowing, my app will track what I've done, but really going into it. Like I used 10-pound weights, I used 15-pound weights or whatever. You can see the progress. And that in and of itself is being part of the whole process and really being involved in what it is that you're doing. And that then challenges you because you automatically start to think, well, what can I do a little bit better or a little bit different? Can I lift a little bit heavier? Can I go a little bit longer? I've been trying to walk. It's not my favorite activity, but I'm doing it with Lincoln in the afternoon and I get to use it on my app and I've got somebody coaching me in my pocket, and now it's time to go for a 4-minute thing. Now they're going, go as hard as you can. And I'm like, honey, I'm doing a jog. That's what I've got for 4 minutes. Don't even push me. But I can see that I'm already getting better after doing this and I'm getting outside. I'm hitting all the things. I need the vitamin D. The dog needs to get his exercise. I need to do this and and I love it. Getting outside in the sun and looking at the glory of this lake and the leaves are still here. I'm so grateful. It's really lit me up and it's deliberate that I have chosen to do this instead of just sitting there on the bike spinning around. And it's made me really appreciate the effort that goes into what it is that I need to do and that I'm able to check all these different boxes. So I break down the habit, I add a task list to it, and I can see where the weaknesses in what I was doing. Well, I was getting bored to death on that bike. I was getting bored on just doing it and just getting it done and just going for the check mark. Sometimes it needs to be broken down a little bit further so that it has actual meaning. And then the deliberate practice, well, then now you're in it. Now there's a goal attached to it. Now you want to see what you can do. Now you want to see what kind of capacity and capability that you have. Now you want to make sure that you're going for the grit, not the quit, right? I love that. I think that's just super cool. It just lights me up. Number 2 is to recognize the difference between mindlessness, boredom, and perfectionism. I think this is critical because we can start thinking everything needs to be broken down then. Everything needs to be looked at. Like, am I doing it right? Am I whatever? And that starts to get into the hand-wringy, worrisome stuff of perfectionism. It starts putting us into the place of just endlessly navel gazing and looking at, am I doing this right? Is this the way it needs to be or whatever? And honestly, most of the time, it's not like that. It's just a matter of you holding your plumb line and saying, can I do this just a little bit more this time? Can I give it a little bit of an effort, a little bit more of an effort? Not because you're trying to be the best in the whole entire world, but because you want to see what you're made out of. We've talked about this before, and I had a friend of mine, Jade Tita. He's a doctor of Chinese medicine, I believe, and smart guy, love him to death. And he's here, lives here in Asheville and in California. And he had this whole thing about talking about, easy. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about this whole idea of easy. And what he said in the thing was like, easy never gets you anything. It has no value. And cheap and easy, that's what fast food is, cheap and easy. And where's the value there? There's none, right? And this is the thing that I keep going back to. We're not looking for cheap and easy. What we're looking for is something with value and something that's going to make us that much better. Because I believe that's why we're here. on purpose and for purpose. And until we understand that hard is part of the equation and work means requires that you're putting yourself into it, we make peace with that. We're going to be in deliberate practice with the things that matter in our lives. That was a biggie for me. That was a real huge thing for me. Number 3 is to look for the lessons. We're called to do this. We've got to analyze what we're doing. Is this right? Is my form correct? Am I lifting enough weight, or am I simply trying to get through it? Do I need to use a kettlebell for this? Do I need to do this? Can I research this a little bit? How's my form? All of these things all enter into a deliberate practice. And as we do them well, and as we do them better, we see progress. And progress in and of itself is its own reward. That's part of the whole journey. And we get these little dopamine hits. We get these little places of feeling really good about what it is that we're doing because we're present with it and we are making these incremental changes. So we look for the lessons in everything that we're doing. And speaking of the lessons, we allow for the mistakes as well. Because the mistakes are going to enter in, aren't they? Always, they're going to enter in. And this is the place where I have found, for me personally, this is where the aha moments are. Well, you know what? Not this, that. I got to do this instead. If I do this, I'm going to get that. Ooh, neat research. As a matter of fact, in our Get Strong, Be Strong webinar that we do, which is, in and of itself is just interesting tidbits I picked up along the way when I was learning about the best optimal way for women to work out. And I found this term. It's called creasing the groove. Greasing, is it creasing or greasing? I can't remember. But greasing the groove. It is all about a Russian technique for Olympians. And it was doing a little bit every day, doing a little bit of this every day, a little bit here and a little bit there. And so I started breaking my workouts down so that I could do the sweaty part in the morning, take a shower, and then do the rest of them through the day because I got to get my butt up out of my chair anyway. And what I found was it's so much easier to stick with it than to go forward with just this, intense all the way, knocking it all out. Every once in a while I'll do that, but I found it much more effective and much more supportive of my energy level throughout the day when I just do a 10-minute arm workout and then go do something else and come back to my desk and work. And it's interesting how that all worked out and how now I'm finding that the studies, and I'm seeing it recommended everywhere, like micro workouts, they're calling them. Who knew? Who knew? This is what research does. And what it does is it teaches you lessons that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And it gives you an opportunity to grow and to become and to be present with your life instead of just going through the motions. Because can I tell you what? Going through the motions is going to lead you to a place of regret down the road. Period. Because you're going to miss out on the juicy stuff. Number 5 is put your head into it. Okay, so this was interesting. This is what a master pianist said. He said, it doesn't matter how long you practice with your fingers. But if you practice with your head, 2 hours is plenty. You see the difference? There's a connection that is made when what it is that you're doing, whatever kind of a practice is, whether it's your meditative practice, your yoga practice, your exercise practice, whatever it is, the thing that it is that you're trying to improve on, become stronger with. If you've got your head into it, it takes less effort and it will change the way that you do it. Number 6, embrace feedback and constructive criticism. I'm going to tell you what, we all freak out about, criticism, and we all go the opposite way oftentimes of criticism. Criticisms can be evil. Criticism can be over the top, and it's the stuff that we, heard our mothers say, or a horrible teacher at school or whatever. The criticism can just cut to the heart. But somebody who's constructive said, well, have you ever tried this? Or have you ever thought about that? And you really are allowing for the analysis and the breakdown of what's going on here. How do I take this to the next level? That's when, you're able to see the options. That's when you're able to hear the thing you need to hear. I would even go a step further and say, in relationships, you need to be able to and amenable to hearing stuff that maybe you don't want to hear. Because how do you make a relationship better if you don't allow the other person to speak their truth to you and hear the other person? This is how friendships strengthen and last, and marriages, and any other kind of relationship. It's everything. So when we embrace the feedback and the constructive criticism, what we're doing is allowing for creativity as well, because the creativity brings us to the new place of practice. Like, now I can add this new thing into my practice and see how that does. What about that? And number 7 is to deliberately practice is to have an all-in approach. We've talked about this before a lot. And it's so much easier to be 100% all in than to be even 95% in. Because there's this thing called mental fatigue, and it's decision-making fatigue. You've heard those terms. And the reason why is because when you're going back and forth in your head, your thinking requires a lot of energy. All of this energy that we make from the food that we eat, most of it goes toward our thinking. Did you know that? Our thinking, our brains require that glucose so that we can think. And if we're going back and forth and just mulling, oh, should I or shouldn't I? You're spending a lot of capital, energy capital, on that. In or out, in or out, in or out. You ever have a dog who's like can't decide if they want to go in or out? You're standing there with the open door and you're just thinking, you know what, this dog's making me nuts. In or out, make a decision. That's my question to you. Are you in or out? Make a decision. It will get easier. And last one is to start deliberately practicing. Start deliberately practicing this week and see how things change, especially on anything that you've gotten bored with or just tossed to the side. See how keeping a record will change things up. I've started that with my workouts. I'm now not just crossing it off and checking the box. That was enough for a while. But now I want to really get into it and see what I can do. I'm starting to see the results. Every time I put on clothes that I wore last year, and I mean, we're only talking a 10-pound difference, but the clothes are just hanging on me. I've had to buy a bunch of new clothes. They're hanging on me. It's the result of my workouts. Because remember what I told you about, this is what you've got for, by the way, this is Carb Counter. We have about 5 bottles left. So first come, first serve. So this is fat, 5 pounds of fat. This is 5 pounds of muscle. You see the difference? That's how it is. That's what makes all the difference in the world. So I'm telling you, watch what it happens when you start deliberately practicing. You start recording and measuring the things that you do. You're going to be shocked at how you can tweak things just a little bit to make them a little bit better so that you can get yourself back in the game. It gets fun after that. No more boredom. I think that's a huge thing. What do you think of that? And the last thing I would say to you, you know what? This is how vibrancy shows up. It does. Vibrancy shows up when you're into it. When you're into it, it shows up. And your tools are going to help you to do that so that you're present with it. Yeah? How about that? So here you go. savingdinner.com/tools for all of our tools that we have available. Don't forget those mugs. We have 4 different ones now and 2 different quote decks, and you get to choose. And last thing I'm going to say to you is that the deliberate practice and being present with what it is that we're doing, that's how we created these tools. That's what they're the result of. I love this because it helps me to get the vibrancy that I want out of this life. If I can just stop, going through the motions and start being deliberate in my practice, then I'm going to have that much more vibrancy, that much more energy, and that much better of a focus of what it is that I want. And this is going to work for you too. You know why? You're a wise woman. That's how it works. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that interesting? I thought it was interesting. Well, at least I had a good time with it. I don't know if you did, but if you did, you know what to do. There's share buttons. There's all kinds of things that you can do with this. And don't forget, we'll see you tomorrow for Thirsty Thursday. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? Peace be with you. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. You can find us on YouTube on the Saving Dinner channel or on the Saving Dinner Facebook page. Check back daily for new episodes, Monday to Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you missed the live show, you can watch the replay. Until next time, pinkies up.